Let's just make new magic. I think that's a little easier for us.
Yeah.
New magic and a new episode of the Fight Fist podcast.
Welcome, Fisters.
Yes.
Now we got some energy in us. We got a little warm up workout in.
We were our own warm up comics for the podcast.
Yeah, exactly.
We
We
recorded
broke a
about 10
little
minutes without recording 10 minutes. So
Yeah, we got a little sweat broken, and now we're feeling good.
That's
Welcome
how all
to
the pros
podcast.
do it. That's how
thank
all the
God
pros
we're
do it.
professionals,
Yeah,
and we are so
exactly.
good at recreating what
Watch
works.
this become the best episode ever, and we're every week. Dan's gonna trick us into thinking we're recording, and we're gonna use those first 10 minutes as a throwaway.
That was
intro.
so good that I tricked myself because I had no idea I wasn't recording.
We're all three of us are here: Dan Lamort, Luke Tuma, and Diego Lopez.
Hello.
All
Here at
three.
an undisclosed location above an undisclosed city that's probably New York.
We're,
And that's all we'll tell you. And you'll probably hear a train in the background, and that's all else we're going to tell you. Just that.
But yeah, man, we're here.
We're here.
in the wake of UFC 223.
Yes.
Yeah.
Lots to talk about.
Yeah, I do think we're going to have a bunch of new listeners.
Yeah.
Thanks to former guest. I feel so weird repeating this again, even though no one heard it the first time.
all right.
Former guest Al Iaquinta fought in the main event of UFC 223 this past weekend against the one and only Habib or Khabib, however you want to pronounce it. I like Habib.
You're like, oh, yeah,
I like
think
taking the
Habib.
K off.
Habib.
Yeah, and
Habib.
not only did he last all 5 rounds, he got the highest compliment from Khabib, which
Khabib.
was real gangster.
Iaquinta is a real Brooklyn
Yeah,
gangster.
real Brooklyn gangster, no Burger King.
That
was my favorite,
Connor-
no Burger King.
Connor, he want to fight with boss. I want to fight with real gangster.
Yeah, and he kept that going into the press conference after. He kept calling him a real Brooklyn
Iaquinta
gangster.
is a real Brooklyn
I mean,
gangster.
it's okay that he's from Wantagh, Long Island, but I'm
Close
sure.
enough.
Yeah, I really hope that's what his. If that happened to me, my tombstone would just be real Brooklyn gangster Habib.
That's pretty good.
As much as I love McGregor, I love that Khabib, the first time he referred to him, he just called him chicken. He goes, Iaquinta is a real Brooklyn gangster. This is not about chicken.
Yeah.
This is about gangster. He just referred to him as chicken. He didn't even call him Connor.
Khabib might have the best trash talk, and the fact I don't know what he says, but when you see him whooping someone and whispering in their ear, it just is a beautiful sight.
Because it's not even like trash talk. It's almost it's intimidating because it's just like very simple, like direct.
Yeah.
Like you have to give up. This is for me. This is
Yeah.
mine.
My favorite was someone tweeted that Khabib whispers to his opponents that he's trying to convert them to Islam. That's what the whispering is.
That's fun.
He,
That's a fun one.
That was one of my favorite tweets of the UFC 223 night. MMA Twitter is funny on Fight
Oh, it's
nights.
great.
Yeah, McGregor is like witty with his trash talk, but Khabib will just go, I'm going to smash your face.
Yeah.
Well, McGregor might be losing his wittiness and just going all towards throwing dollies through windows.
I
Yeah.
back it. I back the move. I think it was a good thing to fly across the ocean to back up your homie. That's what's up. That's kind of friend I want.
I think you're leaving out the probably massive amounts of drugs that were involved.
I don't know. I don't see that. I don't see any drugs.
You don't fly a private jet without some cocaine.
Well,
I'm not.
I've never been on a
you know
private
what?
jet, so I don't know where
I'm
I got
not
my
as
info from.
I'm not as anti dolly throw as the rest of the gen pop
Oh,
out.
I am super anti-dolly throw.
I'm as mildly anti dolly throw as you can get.
yeah.
I would say.
I would have been so much more mad if that actually hit Rose. If
Right.
Rose was off the card, I would have just really done nothing about it because I can't. But
Right. But
Yeah, I would-
Twitter,
yeah.
you would have
Oh,
been
I
on
would've
Twitter.
tweeted him.
Would have been going in on Twitter.
Yeah.
I feel bad for. I don't like that. It was a. You know what? If the van was only Khabib was in the van, I would have no qualms with it whatsoever.
zero.
But because it collaterally affected Chiesa and Ray Borg, it's fucked up. But
Yeah.
he's gonna get his ass sued. And
I
they're
like
gonna-
the people who are including Artem in being affected. It was his choice to also
Yeah.
attack a van.
He was
Yeah,
not a
the-
victim of this.
Yeah. Also, has a losing record against humans.
Yeah.
What made Artem think he stood a chance against a bus?
Yeah, I don't like that they're like, because people were saying get you a friend that'll fly across the ocean and defend you like that on a day's notice, which I agree with. But I don't like people responding to those comments and being like, yeah, but he cost him the fight. It's like, do you think Artem didn't know that they were gonna run in there and run
Yeah.
up on Khabib? Like he
Yeah.
he was in the crew.
Somebody
Like
tells me it wasn't a big Valentine's Day surprise when he showed up. It was
Yeah,
like, oh, he's
exactly.
here finally.
it was pretty badass. It was not. It was wrong. It was
I think if they actually got into a fight, it'd be badass. But just throwing a thing through glass, I mean, come on.
I think it's the
I'm also
up to the moment, to the very split second before that glass broke, loved it because it's that embedded got like over 4 million views.
that
That's like
embedded
way
is
more
what
than
made
everyone
me
else's.
question the whole thing, because why were all these cameras rolling on a bus pulling away?
Well, because of embedded, because
Yeah.
they have that footage. So it's like if he threw the dolly and it just hit the fucking side of the van, like the paneling, this would have been great.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
still good, but it would have been great.
I agree. Yeah, and I agree. I think what was badass about it was him getting a crew full of fucking Irish hooligans and flying them private across the seas to defend his boy.
Very sick. Very sick.
That's some gangster
I think
shit.
the overkill was whichever one threw the chair through the front windshield at the driver.
I think that was also Connor.
Oh,
Anyone
I
with,
assumed it was both. Yeah.
anyone with common sense knows that it's just the driver up there. Khabib's
Right,
not
yeah, it's
driving
unfair.
the bus. Which
I
would
don't
be
think
so
they
much
were-
cooler if Khabib was driving the fighters around because they just trusted him so much.
Get in the bus.
but-
I don't think they were thinking very logically.
No, but like, getting back to the card itself, very impressed by Al with his
Dude.
defensive wrestling and his he played that low stance, trying to catch an overhand right. He clipped him a couple times. It was just a good display of like working.
It was the second best outcome that Al could have had besides
Yeah,
winning.
he landed some good shots, and the other thing I think I was most impressed with was the amount of in the later rounds how many takedowns he stuffed of Khabib's. That was
It
incredible.
was like 5, I think,
Yeah.
in a
He
row.
stuffed like 5 in a row.
we watched
5 or
it
6 in
together,
a
I
row.
forgot.
Yeah, we fucking we were like going crazy because
It was nuts.
I think that's the best. Not the best, but in recent memory, I think he did better against Khabib than Barboza did. I think he did better against Khabib than Michael Johnson did.
Yeah, for
I
sure.
think and he still got
100% better
dominated
than Barboza.
for sure. I think he did better than RDA did. I mean, these are great
It was
fighters.
weird because he did get dominated, but he made it feel like he wasn't completely getting dominated.
no, because
You
he,
still always felt like maybe he'll tag him, and maybe this is the one that'll get
he
him
did
down.
tag him a couple times. I don't think Khabib was in danger of getting knocked out, but he did tag him with some good shots.
In the fifth, he got him with a good shot that stumbled him for a quick
It was
sec.
fun.
Absolutely.
It was fun.
It was fun. You never thought
He
that
saved
the
the
fight
damn
was
card.
put away. You never were like, oh man, he's getting worked. And it's
Uh-huh.
I don't know. I thought he did well, man, and especially I think he did well just like period compared to how Barboza, RDA, and Michael Johnson did against Khabib. But then on top of that, when you take into account the fact that he was trained for a 3-round fight against Paul Felder
Exactly.
and instead
Yeah.
had to fight 5 rounds against Khabib for the belt.
That's no joke.
That's incredible. The amount of toughness and presence and just mental toughness and physical toughness that you have to endure 5 rounds like that with Khabib and still be hitting him with shots in the 5th when you train for 3 rounds against fucking Paul Felder. I mean, it's impressive, man.
I heard that morning there was multiple reports of him in the hotel lobby screaming at Shelby, who books the UFC, I believe his name is.
Sean Shelby.
Yeah, Sean Shelby, screaming at him that he was just going, "I'm your man, I'm your man," and like just screaming it in the hotel.
Yeah.
And then Twitter there was a real rally to have him over anyone else fight him. There was nobody pushing for Felder or Pettis as much as they were pushing for Al. People really wanted to see Al get that fight.
Yeah, people they said he was the clear fan choice.
And his stock, as everyone says, his stock rose because he's gonna get another big fight after this.
Yeah, dude,
I don't think he's gonna drop in the rankings. He can't.
No. Well, the other thing is like I think the fans like him. He's not famous or anything, but the fans like him because he's kind of got this like blue collar cowboy esque.
I was so mad they didn't give him the mic after. They usually give the loser of the main event a chance on the mic.
I know. I wanted to hear him too, but I don't think.
Something tells me the UFC might have a little tight leash with Al on a mic in an octagon.
Makes
Yeah,
sense.
especially in that big of an event.
Let's
when Dana
save
was
this for
already
the
flustered.
press conference.
I'm
I'm interested to see. He must have got paid a boatload because we all know where Al stands on
I think
money.
they said he makes $250,000. He made
That's
a
it?
$250,000 off.
I really thought he would have made like 500.
I mean, I don't know.
I'm also realizing after I said that I wasn't confident what number a $250,000 was.
Nice. Yeah.
In my head, I was like, "Is that like an actual quarter, like a 25?"
I think when Mendez stepped up against McGregor, he got $500,000, which would make sense that in this fight, because Khabib is big, but not as big as McGregor is or was then, that Al would get $250,000 to step
Not
up.
bad because Al's max payout for the Felder fight was $130,000. He
Yeah.
was getting paid 80 to show up, 50 to win, and so he got to basically double that.
Yeah, man. It's great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he said he's
And he
like-
doubled our downloads. So
Yeah, he doubled our
really, we
downloads.
all
That's
won
the
on
big
out.
double that people need to focus on.
Yeah.
Is the Middle Easy Fight Fist downloads that have doubled. That double is much more important. Than
And they
outpacing.
can double again.
Like we now have the amount of downloads where we could show it to someone and be like, see, it's not only our family listening.
We have
Yeah.
a lot of followers.
We're out of that family level now.
You know
Don't
what's
let
gonna
Dan's
happen?
self-deprecation fool you. We have many followers, and people are asking to sponsor us right away.
You know what's gonna happen is
We can't name the sponsors though.
No.
something weird's gonna happen with Cody. He's gonna get in some street fight or something, or maybe he'll throw a dolly. He's gonna pull, and then Aljamain Sterling is gonna step up, or
God.
Jimmy
That'd be
Rivera,
very funny.
and we'll get another double in the
That's very
downloads.
funny.
Man, that's what's going on.
Let's move down the line.
Jimmy had some nice TV time. I'll throw that in. They gave him a nice little clip of him and Marlon fighting with each other
Oh
at
yeah,
the press conference.
yeah, that's gonna be great.
Which
I'm
was a
looking
good
forward.
that press conference was really good because we got to hear the possibility of Lesnar Cormier or Lesnar Stipe. But that's a conversation we could have
in
when,
about 15 minutes.
Yeah,
The Rose,
if Usada doesn't ruin it by then.
right? The Rose and Joanna fight was great.
The most
Yeah.
impressive fight on the card, I think. Was,
really enjoyable.
I would say that was probably the best fight on the card.
Really fun wave of momentum, where it started all Rose and kind of transferred 3 and 4 to Joanna, and then came back to Rose at the very
I,
end.
Very
thought, I
sim-
really did think Joanna had 4, but some of the judges didn't even give her the 4th round.
Oh wow.
Very similar.
I thought it was 2-2 going into the last round.
Yeah, I did too. Very similar pacing, I'd think, to McGregor Diaz 2, where it's first
Yeah.
two guys
Yes.
taking it, 3-4, he loses it, 5th round, he takes it again.
Yeah.
I do have to say though that Rose in victory is a great champion, and Joanna is a miserable loser.
Sure.
she cannot accept defeat. She's still going on the record saying she won the fight.
It's like two of the judges had it 49-46, correct?
Yeah,
I think so.
Yeah, which
Yeah.
it's like, and I didn't even
2 of
have
the
it
judges
bad.
only gave her that 1 round.
But dude, you didn't lose. I mean, you
Yeah.
didn't win. You lost unanimous decision. 2 of the judges had you winning only 1 round of the 5.
There's just so much joy in seeing Rose win. She's like everyone who said she's not a good champion. I tweeted it was like, then you should have seen all of Madison Square Garden standing on their feet.
Yeah,
for
that's
her.
nuts.
She's
It's
a fucking warrior.
Yeah, and she's humble, but she's got a swagger about her. She's extremely likable, and she's got this. You know, she's. Just
I was
got an
worried on her
everyman quality.
walkout. She looked nervous on the walkout.
That's
I
how she
really-
always looks. She always looks kind of like
I know, but
yeah,
she
timid.
literally had the look that she just stopped crying. So I was like, oh God, it's gonna be terrible. And
She was so rattled
and
from
then
that
the
dolly.
second her feet touched that ring, I was like, oh, all right, she's fucking game on.
Joanna was upset because she said she landed more significant strikes, and that's what should matter. But is she just not going to address how many of those were leg kicks? I mean, Rose had Joanna in way more danger, way more times than Joanna had Rose in. And in their what would you call exchanges, Rose won the vast majority
Yeah.
of their exchanges.
And I don't wanna be a
Joanna was
dick,
landing
but-
good leg kicks, but that's not enough to win a fight if you're
Not by
losing the
itself.
exchanges
Yeah,
and
yeah,
you
yeah.
are inflicting less damage and bringing the person, you know, not if your opponent is bringing you closer to a finish than you're bringing them. I think it definitely goes to Rose because of her winning in those ways.
And to be honest, like everyone was talking about those leg kicks, and I watched the post fight press conference like after the card was over, and Rose walked to the podium and fine.
Yeah.
Those were not deep bruises. Everyone's like, look how red her leg was. It's because she's a fair-skinned person.
Yeah, exactly. It's
If
gonna
you
show real
flick
quick.
a fair-skinned person, it's going to show up red.
Also,
Yeah.
I think she undoubtedly won round 5, which means that the leg kicks weren't enough to stop her from winning the final round.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
it's one thing if the leg kicks put her away, and you know, if she did well the first 3 rounds and then the last 2 she was completely immobile because of your leg kicks, but that's not the case. She fought great that 5th
Yeah.
round.
It was a very impressive win, and I think it's the type of win where Dana White now has to fucking act like Rose is the champ and promote her the right way. Because even leading up to this fight, it was still a lot of Joanna heavy promotion.
I think he probably figured that Joanna would win it back, just because
Yeah.
Joanna's got such a better track record than Rose.
It would have been better for them because then there's no need for a trilogy now. Who wants to see someone who's lost twice?
Yeah, there's no need for
Yeah,
it.
Joanna's got to fight a few more people before she
Yeah, because then
bumps back up.
if you turn this one into a trilogy, then it becomes a 5-time fight because then you got to even it out the other way. It just I think Joanna personally should go to 125.
She said she's gonna try. They're doing like
Yeah.
I read like a little thing where she's like gonna see how she feels at 125. It's like
Yeah,
why not?
because
Fuck
she
it.
does usually have tough weight cuts.
Yeah,
So it would be better for her, I assume. But
How tall
also
is she?
her verse, she'd have to fight Bullet, right?
who's Bullet?
Shvenko?
Yeah, that's 125.
Yeah, and Valentina is a monster.
I like her a lot.
I think she's a sore loser. Probably a lot of it's got to do with how dominant she was when she was on top. And
Yeah.
she's just not used. She's really not equipped to handle losses.
I think the best-
because she won so dominantly for so long.
Right. It seemed like
It
she was
resorts back to Ronda was the best loser. She just got depressed and disappeared. That's the way to lose. Just lock yourself in a room for a few months. Ronda would just disappear after
have
her
some
loss.
self-respect and
Yeah.
go away for a while.
You really don't need to go on the record night of and be like, I won that fight. When
Right.
You just clearly, no one booed when they said you lost, which means no one in that arena had thought you had won that.
People were more angry at Ronda when she lost against Holly because she talked so much shit to Holly beforehand and was so cocky and then got knocked out with a head kick and a hammer fist. But I think the Nunez loss was way more humiliating, and
Oh
that
my
was
God.
the kind of
Yeah.
one that put her away.
What was that, 12 seconds?
48.
48?
Yeah, that was a
At least
brutal
I
one.
was in 1/4 of it. I was on the right track. I just
It was
divided
divisible by.
Yeah. Wow, that's impressive. by me.
Your boy, who you said you trained with Zabit.
Well,
right? Or
I've never
you
trained
worked out
with
with him.
When I stopped really going to train and spar with the guys at Almeida, he came up, and like the moment he came up, like all of them were always telling me like he's legit, he's what's up, he's like the next thing.
He's the next thing.
Yeah, and they fucking showed
Dude,
it.
he's incredible.
Amazing fight. Broke his hand hitting
Half hour
pads
before.
hitting pads in the locker room. Yeah, and it's like still came out and put on a fucking
Can
clinic.
you imagine what was going on in his head when he broke that hand?
It's like, oh, cool, great. Of
Yeah.
course, this is going to be happening.
Yeah.
Dude, he might be.
Does he live in Jersey? I just want to say that up top. He does, right?
I mean, he's there a lot
Because-
training. I think he like has a base there, but I don't think he spends that
Because
much.
the gym that I used to train at, their top fighter was one of his training partners in Zabit's camp,
Yeah.
and he said that it was such a tough camp for his sparring partners because they were just getting the shit beat out
well,
of them.
and Zabit is also Dagestani, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's so crazy. That's such a badass part of the world.
So
Oh
I
my
really do
God.
think Zabit's going to be a champion.
I do too.
He is just. And with that being said, I wish I remember the guy's name that he fought. The last name was difficult.
Chris
Boschiak.
Bosch. Yeah, because that dude also a fucking warrior.
Yeah, I mean, he was just eating punches to the face voluntarily.
Yeah, and was sticking. He stuck his tongue out.
So you know what? This is how you can tell Diego's fought before, and Dan and I haven't. Is because Dan and I are like, "Oh, he's a warrior. What a badass!" And Diego rolls his eyes like, "Yeah, that's not good technique.
It's not good for your
You're
brain.
supposed
I
to
don't-
eat
No one
Respect.
knows. Everyone knows it's not good to stick out your tongue and willingly take a punch
Yeah.
in the head. But
It's like
fun. It sells.
It sells exactly.
And
it's
it's so funny. The guy was from. I think he's from Mass. He's from Boston. That's
course
such
he
a
is.
Boston
Yeah,
meathead thing to
Yeah.
do. Zabit. He
That's
might
something
be-
that works in a bar fight. If you're in a bar fight and you hit a guy and then he sticks out his tongue and smiles at you,
Yeah.
that's when you know you fucked up.
Totally.
But when you're fighting Zabit, that's when you're like, I'm still gonna lose pretty
Yeah.
bad.
He might be the tallest, longest 145er
tall
I've
as
ever
shit.
seen.
Yeah,
What is he?
6'1", I think.
He's
Nothing
6'1",
about him
145.
looks like a
That's
fighter.
insane.
He does not look like a fighter at all.
No, he looks like the guy from Zoe 101.
I don't know what that is.
There was a lot. There was Lil Dicky.
Lil Dick. He does
Yeah.
look like Lil Dicky, dude.
I did the Zohan. That was similar.
Yeah,
Lil Dicky was the most spot on one though. He
That's
looks just like
hilarious.
him.
that's great. He was
Very
was
fun,
phenomenal,
very
man.
fun fight.
And I think he'll. Yeah, I agree.
I
I
was
think- how old is he? 20s.
I don't know. I
Young.
think somewhere in the 24.
What was
probably.
surprised me was that was the Fight Pass prelims.
Right.
The UFC for some reason didn't even have that on the televised fights.
Yeah.
And that was one of the strongest fights on the card.
Yeah.
And then he got his chance getting bumped up on him. It is true. I did some research though. He is one of the most. I don't want to use the word feared, but a lot of people turn down fights against him.
Yeah.
He's had the opportunity before where he's called out bigger names, and all of them have said no.
I really hope they allow him, and I hope they allow him to grow at a steady pace if he starts to get big. I always think that with guys like Sean O'Malley, guys like Zabit, who are amazing young
Weidman.
fighters. Well,
Weidman progressed really quick after the win.
No, he and that Weidman was very successful. I worry about these guys that are like, clearly future stars not being allowed to develop at the right pace because they gain attention, they gain a following, they're exciting, and they get pushed by the UFC, and it's understandable. But then you see stuff like what happened to Paige, what happened to Sage Northcutt, Mickey Gall. Mickey Gall is in a better spot than the other two probably.
Yeah.
But
Well, Sage is coming off a win.
yeah, I mean, they're not done or anything. Yair,
Sure, but it's just like they go and they're like, oh, we got to pull back.
Yair Rodriguez, phenomenal fighter. I do not think they should have thrown him in that quickly with Frankie Edgar. I mean, honestly, Ngannou probably should have been thrown in that quickly with Stipe.
The crazy thing is, if if they're not fighting in the UFC, that means the UFC loses them to another promotion because there's no minor leagues like other sports.
No, yeah, no.
And unfortunately, the UFC isn't big enough to where they could do like a developmental league.
No, that's a good point coming up. Or you could just, I think you don't have to rush them right. The only one we've really seen who got a title shot early and it worked out phenomenally. Weidman, did a bit, and then McGregor.
Yeah.
You know, he a lot of people did not think he should have got. And you know what? Cody Garbrandt had an early title shot. He was 10-0 when he fought Cruz, but he was like 5th or 6th ranked.
Yeah.
But because they had so much shit talk between them and he was an alpha male, they
Yeah.
bumped him up. I just think a lot of times we've seen that go wrong where the young budding star gets placed against, like a number 2 ranked veteran.
It
and then
happens
just
in every
gets
sport.
worked. Totally. And I hope with these brand new guys that we're seeing pop onto the scene, Sean O'Malley's a beat. I hope they allow them to develop more so that they can actually become champions, guys that can
For a
hold the
long
belt.
time. Yeah.
Put him on the Max Holloway plan. And Max is young, but like he worked his way up.
Yeah.
Because it's
Yeah,
so
that
interesting
makes
because it's not like another sport where you just get another opportunity right after. Because if you throw this guy in there or girl and they lose, then now that's at least 4 months till they fight again.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like it's got to be such a mind fuck because you don't have the quick turnaround of proving people right,
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and the other thing is that a bad loss can lead to more bad loss.
Yeah, it really can spiral. It really can. You
Yeah.
lose confidence. You start questioning your camp, your cut, and all these things just kind of like stick in your brain, and it's just hard. It's just a hard thing.
now you run over a
or
pregnant lady.
ailments. I mean, injuries, ailments, things that are bothering you, things that were, maybe your chin goes a little bit, whatever it is, and you don't want to see that happen.
They should do it the Diego way. Go into comedy, start a podcast.
Hit some mics.
And then,
Hit
soon
some
enough, we're going to
mics.
see Diego fight.
I
for
just
the
go
title.
back in and just jump into the UFC. Like, wasn't that unexpected?
Hey, guys, I'm here for The Ultimate Fighter.
Hey, is that cool? Is it cool if I just jump in?
We should make because The Ultimate Fighter had The Ultimate Fighter house, and original Last Comic Standing had the comic house.
Oh yeah.
Let's combine The Ultimate Fighter and Last Comic
That's
Standing.
great. I'm gonna do really good.
Not only
Can you
do you,
imagine like Tony Ferguson and John Heffron screaming at each other?
What are you
I
talking
like how
about?
you
People
went-
always pretend like they're golfing.
I like how you
Put
went
your
to John
sunglasses on.
Heffron out of all names.
That's perfect.
He's a winner. Yeah,
Yeah,
In
yeah.
that year
He
in
was was he the first ever?
Yeah, he's a winner.
And
in
then
the
Dat
04
Fan
one.
was season 2.
I think so.
Yeah. I would like to see a UFC fight currently of 60-year-old Rich Voss versus whatever age Dat Fan currently is. You can't even find that information online how old Dat Fan is.
I'm sure it's a quick Google away.
I'm sure Dat Fan's a huge Fight Fist fan. What else is he doing?
What he does is he learns the dialogue of the podcast and then he recites it back as his Filipino mother in the mirror. That's how Dat Fan.
I love the episode of Tough Crowd where Dat Fan is on.
Oh my!
And
Patrice.
Rich Ross and Patrice are so mean.
Yeah.
Dude, Patrice goes, "Are you plugged in? Can you please unplug yourself from the Vietnamese Matrix?"
He goes, the most offensive part of that article was that they called him a comic.
And Patrice looks down at his watch. He goes, "It's 5:14, and Dat Fan has one more minute left on his fame."
They were, and like you could tell that was one where there was no respect based in it.
No, yeah.
Those were two OG real comics that didn't respect a thing about them.
No, I've seen that. There's one. There's a couple with Lisa Lampanelli where they're like that too.
Yeah.
Where they're like brutal.
The best is when Dat Fan goes into the second impression, and then at this point, Colin Quinn's even looking at him like, "Come on, man!
Yeah.
Really, I brought you on here as a." You could tell he was like, he had that look like this is a favor for someone.
Oh, yeah.
And I really regret it right now.
Yeah.
It's the best show. I was watching a bunch of. I love Insomniac. That's like my favorite show of all time
Incredible.
with David Tell. But I was watching a bunch of Make Me Laugh. Do you remember that show?
No.
From like early 90s.
Dude,
where
no, you showed me this. Yeah,
Yeah.
I do because because you showed me the clip.
It's so, man, it's hilarious. The clip I showed you where I'm like, we romanticize comedy from the past, and it's just like, oh, it used to be so much
Was that
better.
the guy yelling in the guy's face?
Yeah, so people used to be so much better before PC culture, and then you watch this guy walk up to a guy sitting in a chair, and he has a minute to make him laugh, and he just keeps saying bitch in a funny face, and it's like, that's some good writing right there. That is
Yeah.
quality comedy.
That's the type of show I could write for.
yeah.
What's my assignment for the day? Just one word.
Yes.
Nice.
Your assignment is to spell the word bitch in 10 different ways.
Yeah,
and that's
yeah.
how the guy's going to pronounce it.
I watched WrestleMania. It is very long.
Really?
It's so long. It was like 7 hours.
7?
7 hours.
Wow.
It
What
was,
do you mean
was it
7
acting-
hours?
It started, and then 7 hours later, it finished.
Was it
So
mildly
people sit and
entertaining?
watch it for 7
Yeah.
hours, or they're at the
I
live
did.
event for 7 hours?
People, if they're at the live event, I'm sure it's longer than that. But I think it started at 7 and ended, or I guess it was 6 hours. Whatever. It was really long.
Fucking insane.
Dana
It was
White
really
was
long.
there.
Yeah, Dana White was there for 10 minutes.
Yeah,
It's
definitely not
like-
6
Yeah, Dana
hours.
White calls up the arena for his spot time.
Yeah.
Hey, yeah, when do you need me in the crowd? 10, 20 to 10. You got it. All right.
Well, they definitely have people at the box, and they'll bring them down for like when they're relative fights, and then
Yeah.
they can bring them back up. But
Ronda did
so,
well.
to preface, are you a wrestling fan at all or no?
kind of. I was when I was growing up, and now because my best friend, and a lot of my friends are, and because I teach a professional wrestler stuff, I'm mildly interested in it,
Yeah.
and more in like a logistical standpoint. Like, what can I turn into a real submission, or like what are people
Yeah.
doing that I could exploit?
I was a huge fan when I was a kid, but for some reason, I never even gave it the transition into adulthood. I never even gave it the try.
yeah.
I
it
just
can be
stopped
fun.
watching it, and that was it. I don't even
Yeah.
remember if I watched it as much as I liked the toys.
The toys are fun. Yeah, I'll give you
Yeah,
that. Toys
like
are
the
fun.
big cage that you could throw people through. It was just what a time
That's
to be a
fun.
child before you knew that your dick was fun to play with.
And they're like, oh, check this toy out. This is much better.
I'm actually pouring one out for the homies of Toys R Us right now.
Oh, yeah,
now that
Russ-
they're gone. So
Rest in peace. I guess toys don't make that much money. The Ronda match was so entertaining. It was very fun. It was a tag match.
Yeah.
Kurt Angle and Ronda, who are both Olympians, and I realized that's why they were together, versus Shane McMahon and Triple H. And Ronda did a really good job.
yeah, her
She-
acting definitely improved from her first appearance.
Exactly. Yeah. It wasn't as
You
she
can tell
like-
she put in a lot of work.
Yeah, it was fun. She caught Shane. She caught Stephanie in an armbar.
I heard.
And they've adjusted the armbar so that they could make the arm bend, and it's obviously not breaking her arm, but like it was fun. It was cool. It was.
And then
you
she
know-
picked up Triple H, right?
yeah, she picked him up because I guess my friend was explaining to me, who's a bigger wrestling fan, in the WWE universe, a man is not allowed to hit a woman. But a woman can do things to a man, and it's like that's okay. I get that. That makes sense.
That's the
so
rules
like
in my bedroom.
Triple H got lifted, but Stephanie pulled him out. It was fun. It was a really good match. And then Brock Lesnar was the main event, and that was one of the most boring things I've ever
heard it
seen in
was
my
brutal.
life. It was terrible.
So what makes a WWE
I've heard everyone
match
say
terrible?
they hated it.
How could it possibly be boring if it's scripted? I don't understand.
Well, so you could script something and do you not watch movies?
I guess that's a good point.
So what makes
But-
something
but-
boring is it was repetitive.
Okay.
Brock just did his finishing move 5 times in a row
That's so funny.
and couldn't get a pin. And then it looked like the other guy was going to win, and then Brock did the move again and won.
That also weirdly sounds like my bedroom.
Nice, my man. Give me a high five. All right. So just boring. And Brock Lesnar, like I don't find him as interesting as a wrestler. I think he's,
I find him interesting as a person.
yeah, he's very one-dimensional. And, I don't
Mike
know.
Harrington on
got
Hammer
cop hair.
Fisting showed it to me last night. Did you? I don't remember this. In his post-fight interview after he beat Mark Hunt, he like did a whole thing about how like we're all Americans and need to stop racism.
Well, I don't remember that at
Yeah, it
all.
was the weird. It's like a little clip of him being like, we're all Americans and let's just be nice, guys. And it was just
Dude, you know that was his PR team before the fight. They were like, "Listen, Brock, we think you're gonna win, but your fan, like a lot of the UFC fans, think you hate black people."
well. The thing was,
we found out it's the haircut. So what you could do is, in the end, don't talk about the fight. Don't talk about your family or God. Just say, "Stop the racism."
dude. The thing was, it was so bad that it still looked racist.
right.
Yeah, it looked even more racist.
Yes. I just like the idea.
I was watching like this guy hates black people.
I like
He
the
goes
idea
back
that
to the locker room. He's like, "How'd I do?" And his PR team's like, "Brock, we're gonna have to
Also, my
take
favorite thing
the
is he doesn't even
sword
live in
off your
America.
chest."
yeah,
He moved to Canada to a farm with his wife. They don't even live in America.
it's so funny because like it's only like let's be nice if we're
It's hard to
Americans.
prove you're not a
If
racist
you're not
when
American,
you move to Canada.
sure, that's where
That's
they
just moving away
very
from
white.
all of the diversity.
Yeah. That's beautiful. Hey, him and Sable are living a beautiful life, getting diverticulitis.
Is that what is? I just know that my
Diverticulitis
grandmother
is something
has
you
that.
get when you don't have like enough fiber, like if you're not eating enough greens, when you're eating basically just a lot of meat. I'm not a doctor. That
I'm
might not
pretty
be
sure
true.
I have
I was about to
something
say,
like
do you
that.
have that, Dad?
I have so much. I went to the doctor.
I have so much.
I went to the doctor yesterday. I went to the doctor today. I'm going to the doctor tomorrow. I'm falling apart at 23.
wow.
My liver is crashing. I'm gonna have a show called Crashing, and it's just the blood work of my liver
What do you
failing.
What do you actually go to the doctor for?
Whew. So Tuesday was to try to get a Xanax prescription.
Nice.
Or that was yesterday. Yesterday I was trying to
My
get
man.
So it wasn't even medical ailments. It was
No,
you're
no,
trying
no.
to make yourself more medically unfit.
My favorite part about the whole thing was that I saw a kid from my high school who used to like make fun of me for being depressed, and he was waiting to get his meds. So I was like, this motherfucker, like he's also depressed. But yeah, no, I went in
That's an
there because
intense
they gave me
jet.
Klonopin.
Yeah.
So I wanted to bump that bad boy up to Xanax.
Hell yeah.
Carbonated water.
Sorry.
Diego just squirted.
I'm so excited. I love the doctor.
His squirting noise is the same as the little genie popping out of a bottle. Yeah, so they did not give me the Xanax, but they did up my order of the other stuff.
Okay.
And then what was today? Today I went to my lawyer.
There you
Just
go.
for my car accident. And then tomorrow I'm going to orthopedic surgeon for my neck.
Oh, is that from also the car accident?
Yeah, from the car accident.
Oh, okay.
And then I got to see a neurologist next week. You know, I'm just falling up. What I'm saying is, come to our live shows. 'Cause I don't know how many more there's going to be.
Yeah, it's a very limited.
Like, I don't know if I talked about this at the time, but I was supposed to headline Caroline's, and then the club had canceled on me. And the most painful part about it was the amount of messages who were like, "Hey, man, are you alive?"
Oh, that's the assumption.
People assumed I died instead of the show just got canceled.
Yeah, that's like the Louis joke where he says, "I want to get skitty enough to where if I die, people ask why."
Right. Yeah. That's great.
I guess. Oh man, I tweeted something so similar to that. I didn't even realize that was a
That's
Louis
fine.
joke.
He doesn't have
I
jokes
tweeted
anymore.
that I want to lose enough weight to where if I lose a limb, your first thought isn't diabetes.
That's way different. That's
Nah,
very
that's
funny.
pretty
Way
much
different.
the same train of thought.
It's a parallel
I've never
thinking.
told it on stage. It's just a tweet.
Yeah, I
it's
don't
just
think
tweet. Who
that's
gives a shit?
Yeah, that's definitely
The last time
not
I tried
thievery.
taking a tweet to stage, the biggest laugh I got was, "Boy, that didn't sound like 200 favorites."
Nice.
That's the only way to recover from trying to tweet
Yeah.
on stage.
All of my tweets are just things from Bernie Mac. So it's like, no one cares.
My tweet's different.
Bernie Mac's jokes. Sick as
Yeah,
him.
if you look at Diego's feed, it's just him weirdly tweeting, "I'm not scared of you, motherfuckers."
Yeah, exactly.
Over and over again.
If I tried my tweets on stage, it would just be me thanking God for all my blessings.
That would also be Yoel Romero trying stand up.
Jesus.
If the joke works, you just be like, "I just want to give it up to God
Yeah.
for letting
Yeah.
that joke work."
Michael
Has there ever been a comic who's done that? That'd be hysterical. Praying
My-
after every landed
My buddy
joke.
Terrence, who is coming in town this weekend, Terrence Pennington, very funny. Used to, if a joke would bomb, he would go, "Let's take a moment of silence for 9/11."
That's
good
hysterical.
That's very good.
I want to. I am so sad today because I found out yesterday that hanging around McDougal Street at the Village Underground was Guy Fieri, who I'm known to love.
Oh my God.
Did you
And
see the
I
picture of
missed
Tim with him?
Yeah, well, apparently Sherrod Small threw a birthday party at the Village Underground for a famous chef. So then Guy Fieri came to the party and was like hanging out and like just doing a bunch of coke.
Dude, he asked
You didn't hear that either.
he asked Tim Sturdivant, former podcast guest, for a food recommendation. He said
Yeah.
something like, "Hey, do you know where this like ramen place is?" Tim's like, "Bro, Guy Fieri asked me for a food recommendation, bro."
Yeah, I think that
Good
gets you.
impression.
I think that gets you a show on the Food Network.
That's pretty good.
Guy asked you. You, can
Yeah,
just
you
walk
also did a great Sturdivant.
Tim.
Yeah.
I spent so much fucking time with him.
Yeah. And then if we let that impression go long enough, you would have started talking about Haitians.
Oh, did he just? Well, the other thing is he'll just name different places. Be like, dude, fucking Guy Fieri asked me for food recommendations, bro. It's like the fucking Ottoman Empire, bro. Like this reference random points in
weird.
history.
Tim is one of
Oh,
my.
we give-
I would love to get him back on with the
Yeah,
four of
well,
us.
It's got to
We
be.
just need to buy a new mic
Yeah.
We get a little.
and figure out why that's messed up. But
It works great.
But do you want to?
I would just like to say thank you to everyone who came to my first monthly show called
Oh, yeah.
The Manifest Show.
The
How did that
Manifest
go,
Show.
man?
I got sick. I wanted to come in and I got sick.
Oh, it's okay.
I got the
man.
cold.
It was good. You know, it's a very interesting play. It's called the Heron Club. It's underneath the Soho Playhouse. I don't want to give away too much information, but if you need stuff, they have stuff.
Yeah.
That's what the venue is.
exactly.
It's a front.
Things that you might. It's a. When he says front, he means it has a nice front where they sell items. that you
Yeah,
can-
like if you want laughs, they have laughs.
Exactly.
Except in this case, laughs are drugs.
I was really confused until that last. I'm like, I know they're trying to tell me something. I can tell something's afoot.
It was
You're
just
gonna-
I was standing there with all the comics, and the doorman comes up. He's like, You guys need drugs?
Jesus Christ.
That place is one of the craziest places I've ever been. It's really like we probably should, whatever. It's really like a spot, like when you hear Mark Maron and those old guys talk about what comedy was like in the 80s, and there was this place, man, you should have seen these guys. They got paid in
This
coke,
has
blah,
all
blah.
of the potential to be that place.
Dude, yeah, all these like Wild West stories
Yeah.
of what comedy used to be like.
The owner's the nicest fucking guy. He gave me a budget for a
Dude.
free show.
Dude,
And like
and-
to pay every comic handsomely.
Nice.
Dude, you
Yeah.
go in there, everything about it is like that Wild West old school comedy vibe. I really love doing stand-up in
Yeah,
there.
the
It's
coolest part
so
about it
wild.
is that
Never
behind the
been there.
stage there's a door that goes to a green room. So you don't have to be in the audience at all.
That's the best, man.
Yeah,
I
so-
love that.
Yeah, me
And
too,
the
man.
lineup was fun. You know, Martin Urbano murdered.
Love Martin.
Samantha Ruddy, fucking friend of Luke, and they host the show together.
I'm a fan of
Samantha
friend of
murdered.
Well, we're good friends. People know me.
Yeah,
great.
Anthony Moore did great. Daphne Glentra. I mean, everyone did well. And we did it with Austin, who we used to record in his former friend of the show.
Friend of the show,
And
Austin
then,
Locke.
And Joey Rinaldi, who is, I would say, a former guest, but he is the only guest of the Fight Fist pod who had his episode deleted.
Oh,
Yeah, it was just, I couldn't keep it up there.
it
It made no sense.
I
it was
trust your
just him
judgment.
talking for 20 minutes about how I don't know MMA, and he doesn't even know what MMA is.
Wow. All right.
Yeah.
Combative.
But,
Look at this.
But yeah, it
fucker.
went well. You know, we sold. It's hard to sell out a free show, but it was standing room only, and
That's
everyone
great,
did
man.
good. And we were gonna. Everyone wanted to be like, oh, stay around after and party. And I'm for some reason I'm not in the party mode anymore.
Yeah, that's
I think
fine.
I've grown out of it. Literally, not
man.
age wise, weight wise.
You've earned. You're in your early 20s. You're definitely grown out
My
of.
mom
party.
had such a real moment with me yesterday where she just looked at me and she was like, because my mom knows I smoke weed. I've smoked weed with her. Like I bought her stuff. She buys me drugs and whatnot. And she looked at me. She was like, Dan, don't take this the wrong way, which means it's going to be so offensive. She goes, you're too fat for cocaine.
Whoa.
And I was just like, Mom, you bought my last batch of edibles. Do you really think I'm affording cocaine right now?
Right.
But it was just so real that
Is cocaine harder on bigger people? Is that why Chris Farley died? I don't know
'cause
anything.
It speeds up
Yeah.
your heart and
Yeah.
our heart's into it. I've been given coke after shows and have hand to God given it to someone else 100% of the time. Always, my rule is always give the free coke given to me to another fat comic, just in case it kills them. Thin the herd.
I mean,
There can't be too many of us.
I love the idea of you
Absolutely.
growing out of, literally growing out of partying, because I imagined you like at a bar and someone's like, you staying to hang out at the show? And you're like, nah, I've grown out of that, man. And they're like, what, you're like too good for partying? You're like, no, I can't fit on this bar stool. Like, it's not working.
Bar stools are great. It's the booths.
The booth.
Booths have not been adjusted for obese people.
Oh.
Yeah, because then you look like an asshole because you're taking up too much of the booth.
Yeah, and then you can't tell, then the boot just ends up indenting my belly.
Oh,
so half belly
right.
on the booth, on the table.
That's not
just
nice.
you don't want to eat with your belly on the table.
No.
Yeah, well, I think I should tell the fans here is that one of my other doctor's appointments is I have committed to, I've not fully committed, but I'm seeing a doctor about getting one of the surgeries.
Oh, really?
I'm quitting. I'm quitting fat.
Oh, congratulations.
Yeah,
Oh,
I
it's
quit
great,
smoking
man.
and I'm quitting fat and I'm doing it the easy way.
Yeah, you're under the
Through
knife.
surgery. No, it's actually not. It's a new one. I don't fucking get it. I don't know how it works. It's called Obalon. Have you heard of this?
No, I'm
it's a
very
series
thin.
of 3 balloons. I know you are very thin.
I have,
figured
like,
since
a lot
you're
of
so
abs.
Thin, you might be medical. You might know medical stuff. Since I assume you train some fat people. So you swallow a series of 3 balloons over 6 months, and it restricts your stomach.
Yeah.
Then after 6 months, they take the balloons out, so it's not invasive at all.
Whoa.
It's like the safest one of the things because.
You swallow balloons like a cocaine mule.
Yeah,
That's
it's basic. Yeah, so basically what you do is
You swallow these balloons and you go on a
swallow the
plane.
medical balloons and then you go to Mexico. Free trip. For some reason, the doctor just gives you a free trip.
You're taking cocaine to Mexico
Yeah.
and they're like, fuck, this doesn't work out.
Yeah,
I lost
I'm
money
taking
on
it
this.
back to them. I'm reverse muling them.
Can we return this, please?
Yeah, I'm the reverse mule Trojan horse. Yeah,
That's very funny.
But
You go
then,
back to the doctors. You're like, you told me if I swallow these balloons, I'd be thin enough to do cocaine. He's like, no, I told you I put my cocaine in the balloons.
oh.
yeah, but I'm very intrigued. The problem is it's so new that it's not covered by insurance, so I need to go out of pocket to buy it. And I'm not sure if I could. Maybe I'll just lose weight.
I
could
don't know if I
afford
trust
3
a
balloons.
brand new surgery
Well, it's
where the
FDA
idea is
approved.
you swallow
It
balloons.
is FDA approved.
That's interesting you brought it up because I learned this watching WrestleMania. One of the wrestlers, Daniel Bryan, came back. He retired because he took too many concussions and he was never going to wrestle again.
He took too many. How do you take a concussion?
You take a lot of
pill?
blows to the head.
concussion pill.
Watch your fucking mouth. Apparently, he was able to come back and get cleared because he did a bunch of weird medical, not that cool yet in America stuff.
Really?
And now he can wrestle. And he wrestled his first
Interesting.
match in 3 years. And it's like people love him. And, like,
And
it
this
was
is
really
not just
inspiring.
part of the storyline. This is all.
This is a human being. Yeah, it's a
reality.
real person.
great.
Yeah. I was really. I got like a little emotional because like
So
I
what
love.
you're telling me is I could still be a professional athlete
Yeah,
if I
dude, you can
swallow
make
these
it.
balloons?
Swallow those balloons. I got a bunch of balloons. I find anything inspiring when someone works really hard and comes back to something.
Yes.
That always fucking catches me
So,
hard.
so, are you a big Cruz fan for that reason?
A little bit, like I'm not a huge fan of how he looks aesthetically when he fights. I find it kind of like herky jerky.
It's so herky jerky.
But it works for him. I think
I think
he's
the story.
Yeah, the story's great. I love that he just keeps coming back. But also, it's like, well, you're doing something wrong if you keep getting hurt this specific way.
Yeah.
like there's something going on. So
Probably has to do with his unorthodox style.
I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah.
I'm so lost.
Training
How we go
partners.
from fat surgery to high class athletes again?
we were talking about
the Daniel
being
Bryan,
inspired.
the brain stuff. Don't worry, it's fine. I also
Sorry for a second. I thought this was the Fat Fist podcast.
my Twitter friend and person I've hung out with, John Wayne Parr. He had a fight to get his 100th win for Bellator kickboxing, and he got a really bad decision and lost.
Really?
Yeah, I watched the fight. I'm like, that he should
People
have won
forget
that fight.
Bellator kickboxing exists.
It's pretty new.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool.
It's very fucking cool.
But he, it was a bummer. I was really hoping he was going to get that because
Split decision.
I think it was a split decision. I don't remember fully. But he's a pretty unorthodox Muay Thai fighter, so I think he loses some decisions because he's not that traditional. He leans a little more boxing, which is
Yeah.
never great for Muay Thai, but just a really, really good dude. And he did my old podcast years ago
Yeah.
when he was in town training GSP. And like this was before he blew up on social media. He's been a legend the whole time, but like right before he blew up on social media, he hung out with me and my friend Cornell when we did my old podcast, and he likes comedy a lot. So like occasionally be like, do you have any new stuff you can send me? And I'll just send him clips and he's like, this is great, mate. I'm
That's
like, yeah.
so nice. I do that with David Thibodeau.
Oh, that's great. See, exactly. Everybody has a
You'll
person.
be maybe we'll have him on the podcast.
Yeah, if he comes back to New York.
Speaking
Oh, yeah, we'd love
of GSP, Khabib called him out in the Octagon interview.
Oh,
We haven't
that's
talked
right.
About that.
And then
So-
GSP quickly the same night said, you have business to attend to before you come to me.
Hey.
Which was his way of saying, I still have diverticulitis.
Yeah.
So you don't think that fight will happen? Khabib said he wants to fight. He said Madison Square Garden, GSP November. He wants to fight GSP November, Madison Square Garden, and he said that in the press conference after. He said that Conor would do more money wise for him right now that fight, but GSP, if he beats him, will do more for his legacy. And
Completely
that's what he's
agree.
looking for.
But I really don't think GSP is coming back. I would love to see Habib versus Ben Askren.
Oh,
yeah,
wow.
they're not
That
gonna
would
do
be
that.
a
You want to talk
nuts.
about
Yeah,
legacy?
it would be amazing.
That's real legacy right there.
It would
That's
be
a fight
they
I
would
wanna
they'd be standing for a total of 8 seconds.
30, yeah.
That's MMA legacy. That's not even UFC legacy
Yeah,
right there.
it'd be interesting to see who wants to keep. I think Khabib would like to keep it on the feet longer. I really don't know.
because Askren wants the GSP fight as well,
Right.
But I don't think either of them are getting it, and I agree that'd be an incredible fight. But I don't think that Dana's not going to give that fight to Ben.
Did you
Askren.
see the newest thing with Mayweather McGregor?
No.
So they're saying
they're gonna
I'm
do a
hearing
fight
that
with-
it altered rules.
Yeah,
It's
that's
just
what I was
essentially
gonna
just
say.
boxing in an octagon.
So yeah, it's going to be 4-ounce gloves in a cage, no shoes, but no kicks, no takedowns, no elbows. But just be like clinch stuff is going to be a little bit more okay. Which if they gave him one, he is allowed to do like one leg kick, like he could only kick with his right leg or something like that. That would be I would watch it. But right now I'm like I don't care enough.
no kicks, no takedowns,
no
no
kicks,
elbows,
no takedowns, no elbows.
4-ounce
'Cause then
gloves.
I think in
clinches.
those rules, Mayweather still wins.
I
Yeah,
agree.
So who proposed these rules?
I don't know. I don't know who proposed them.
But that's the
that's
new
what's been
development.
put out. Yeah, who knows? I'm sure it was a lot of back and forth negotiations. It's not 100% yet, but it's like this is a step in a direction that I don't care about, but whatever.
Yeah, I have no interest. I would pay so much more money to see Conor Habib.
I would
have
too,
no
but I'm
interest.
still
I will-
for sure gonna watch that.
I will
fight.
continue to
yeah,
pay
that-
my internet bill while I find it on Reddit.
Yeah, you want to talk about a fucking carnival fight? That's the ultimate carnival
Yes.
fight.
I wonder if Conor and Khabib are gonna fight. What's the next fight for Khabib?
My favorite is that like from like a year or two ago, there's a picture like backstage after a Conor fight of Khabib and
both-
Conor hugging each other.
Yeah, man, that's how it is. It's hard to you really only hate people when you have to fight them, and everyone's cool. Like I got interviewed when I did one of my last fight, and the person asked me, "Well, what's the hardest thing about fighting?" And to me, it's that I have to hurt someone who, and probably we'd probably be friends. We probably share a lot of the same sacrifices and hardships, and I understand their journey as well as they probably understand mine. It's like I just don't like that in MMA. For me to achieve my dreams, I have to kind of ruin someone's for the moment.
Yeah.
Which that doesn't really exist in the same way in comedy.
No, not at all, man.
Because I'm not going to make it. So that's what I'm saying. It's because I'm definitely not going to make it. I am too old and not
I
funny.
was thinking that watching the Khabib Iaquinta fight
I
because
was also thinking how bad a comedy were during the Iaquinta fight.
Thank you so much.
I couldn't get out of my head.
I think I was thinking that because you could tell they had mutual respect for each other, and they stated that after the fight. But they were talking so much shit to each other during the fight. I was like, damn, they're just both in competition mode right now. And this requires them to not only put aside the fact that they, have an affinity for each other, but also to make this guy across from them like their sworn adversary for these 25 minutes.
Yeah.
It's really interesting that you have to completely flip your mindset into fight mode like that, and that this person becomes your enemy for the time you're in this octagon.
Yeah.
That's really interesting, man.
It's a weird muscle that gets built in your
The
psyche.
only thing you have that in comedy is when like there's an audition. Like if you're on a showcase show, then that's the one night where you're like, I have to be better than my friends tonight. I have to make them look really bad.
That's why I have no friends in comedy.
You're like I wonder if guys like Connor and Chael and those dudes come in like that anyways because they figure they got to get in that mindset. Like they're going to be like, I'm going to be this guy's going to be my adversary no matter what. Why don't I hype myself up by shit talking him right out of the gate?
Yeah.
I don't like how you keep
Well,
using the word adversary. I'm lost.
Bad man.
Why can't you just say enemy?
Yeah, well, we got to show off a little bit. I think the Diaz brothers are the best at that.
Yeah,
We're like,
incredible.
they're not friends with anybody who's
No,
not
they're
in their
never
camp.
gonna be.
Yeah, like, no, give a fuck. It's business. Why
Yeah.
be friends with these people?
Anybody they're even like close to being cool with is in their crew. Jake Shields, Gilbert Melendez.
Yeah.
They're in that Diaz brothers camp.
They
Yeah.
let in Sage Northcutt for a minute. They were cool with him for a minute, and then
Yeah.
they were probably like, we don't need this much.
They had Ronda in there for a little bit.
Yeah.
I think they still do. I think they train with her quite a bit from what I've seen. But now she's doing
No,
WWE.
Nick Diaz did a great job. Both Nick and Nate, but Nick specifically, that run of great fights he had and wins and all that. He was immediately enemies with whoever he was fighting right out
Is
of the
there
gate.
any word if Nick's ever going to fight again?
I saw something. Someone posted a tweet of like a screenshot of like a document saying that Nick's it's getting close to where he can come back.
Yeah, because
I
every
don't
now
know
and
if
then
he
you see
can,
it
he
pop
wants
up.
to.
Every like once a month you get one pop up that he may be coming back.
Yeah,
How old is he though?
I think he's like 36 or.
That's pretty fucking old. I
I
mean,
think
Frankie's
because
36, but
I think
Frankie's
they
on the-
He's been
announced
doing it the whole time.
Yeah, I think recently was his 15-year anniversary of his first UFC fight. So he's been
great.
fighting since he's 21, I guess, in the
Wow.
octagon.
That's impressive. I'm also 21. I love it. It's so great. It's never
You're the
hard.
resident young person for the podcast.
I know I am.
You're our Pete Davidson. You
That's great.
kind of have a similar build if Pete Davidson was a fighter.
He's so tall.
Oh.
He's like 6'3".
He's.
I've also
I mean,
never seen him happy, and I've seen you happy.
Right.
so.
Yeah. He has a lot of chemical imbalances where I just have.
That being said, friend
Emotional.
of the pod, maybe. Who knows?
He might be.
I just
mean,
like saying friend of the pod.
friend of
such
the
a
pod
fun
is great.
sentence.
I mean, that should be the name of the pod.
Do you think there's a pod called Friend of the Pod?
I guarantee it. And if not, we're
The
changing our
title
name.
for this
Yeah.
one should be Friend of the Pod.
Friend of the
Middle
pod,
Easy
that's
friend
it.
of the pod.
Middle Easy friend of the pod.
Or to get more views, we should just call ourselves the Barstool Fight Fist Podcast.
It's very funny. Those guys are dorks.
I never got into Barstool, but maybe that's because I dropped out of college before it was a thing.
Yeah, or just you weren't a bad person.
Yeah, I've never had a Saturday for the boys. I've always just had Saturdays for me.
Saturdays
Yeah.
for the Lord.
Saturdays for the spots, baby.
Yeah, if they had a segment called Saturdays are for the Sabbath, then maybe I'd be a
There
fan.
you go.
but no.
That's it. I had a great time with you guys today.
Oh, you're wrapping
I
us
I
up.
really have nothing else to talk about. I'm like, I got nothing else.
What a bold wrap.
I was going to start something. I'm like, you know what? I got nothing.
He just decided for all of us that the pod's over.
What do you want to talk about that press conference with DC and Stipe and?
I just want to talk about that Jimmy looked great in his little suit. I say little. 'cause
His
he's a
little suit.
Jimmy,
I love Jimmy, and it looked so funny because he was like hunched over on the
Yeah,
mic.
Jimmy.
First communion
So it
suit.
he looked like he had a Build-A-Bear suit on.
yeah, Jimmy. If you're listening, we thought you looked adorable, man. It was like, damn, dude, Jimmy looks like Ratatouille. He looks like he's in fight mode.
I love Jimmy because it's funny because my cousin works for E Clean Bro, and he delivers food to Jimmy now. And so my cousin one morning texted me. He's like, "Hey, it's my first day on the job. I think I'm
Yeah, you
delivering."
told us this the last.
What did I say it on the podcast?
Yeah, the last episode.
Yeah, so he texted him like, "Hey, future bantamweight champ of the UFC, is this Jimmy Rivera?"
That's
And
nuts.
so then I texted Jimmy about him, and he's like, "Yeah, your cousin's pretty fucking weird."
That's great. Look at that. Full circle.
And he invited us to his after party in Utica if we go to the fights.
Oh yeah, Utica's great. I'm gonna go. I'm all there all the time.
Yeah, do you know the nightlife scene? What it's like in Utica?
No.
It's one place, and boys, it hopping. It's probably a hotel bar, to be honest.
Right. Why have fights there? I don't understand why.
I don't know. I guess they're trying to do it because New York.
Well, because
you know,
probably nothing's come to Utica since I assume a circus. So everyone will go see this.
Okay, that's fair.
Yeah. You see like just nuns and everyone from the town.
It is interesting watching that press conference, the McGregor effect, where everybody was wearing a suit. Everyone
gonna
was trying
say
to
a
fucking
helmet.
show off in a suit.
Everybody's peacocking with their suits. They were all talking shit. There's a lot of shit talking. Obviously Colby was shit talking, but I
saw some sunglasses, yeah.
totally.
My favorite was when
Sunglasses.
Jimmy Rivera talked to Marlon about his manager, and
Yeah,
Marlon just
'cause-
goes, "What manager?" like he really had no idea. Like he forgot he had a manager.
Yeah. He's an interesting character. But
Yeah,
that
I'm
fight's gonna be
excited for
sick.
that fight.
It's gonna be
Yeah,
sick.
it's gonna be great.
Yeah, maybe if we get press passes for that, we'll be anti-press and just do a live pod.
In the
Well,
Live pod.
we
at
get
the-
headset mics and like, oh, fuck
So,
this.
so Jimmy mentioned on the podcast that we had him on that the winner of his and Marlon's fight is probably going to face whoever the champion is after TJ
Cody,
Cody.
yeah.
So winner TJ Cody fights winner Marlon Jimmy.
I'm
Well,
not
don't you
confident of
think-
that anymore. I think
No, me
Dominic
either.
has to come in at some point.
Well,
he was
they-
too
but
good
they-
to not.
But they think Cruz is going to continue to be a broadcaster. That's what it's sounding like. That he's having a
think
good
he
time
should.
broadcasting. I agree. I don't think
He's
he needs to go
good.
back.
He's real good at it.
Yeah, he's fantastic.
He's sitting down.
In
He's
my
no
opinion,
John
he's-
Anik.
He's arguably the best. Like he.
Whoa, come on!
I like him the most.
Yeah, I do
I'll
too.
be right there. I
I
like him
wear
the
a
most.
cross with Joe Rogan's face on it. He is our Lord and Savior.
Rogan's incredible.
I think Rogan was the
being
most
commentator.
influential person in the UFC.
I think Rogan's great, but when he decides on who he thinks is going to win the fight or who is winning, he does not adjust.
And did you have a
He's
problem with the
complimenting-
way he called that Al Khabib fight? Did you have an issue with that?
No, but people did.
People, yeah, they did not
People,
like it.
I saw multiple tweets calling for the retirement of Joe Rogan.
Whoa.
Well, that's ridiculous.
Which it's also ridiculous. It's like, oh yeah, let's let this man who has hundreds of millions retire and have a great life. What are you trying to get at?
Yeah.
It's the worst troll attempt.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh man, fuck him. Let him go spend time with his wife and kids in their beautiful compound. With
I think it was the Rose fight. I was more like aware of how much he was rooting for Rose. He was
Yeah.
like, she's such a phenomenal striker. She's beating her on the feet every time. It's like, no, not every time. She's getting caught with a lot of leg kicks. She's not checking them. That's not an elite striker thing to do.
Yeah.
But
I
whatever.
love his
It's
passion, man.
hard.
I love like
I-
I saw a compilation video of him forgetting he has headphones and mics on and standing up
Yeah,
at the table
I get that.
with
Yeah.
excitement. I love him.
Well, what I like about the way Dom calls fights is that he'll like while he's calling it, he'll kind of get into the mindset and the thought process of the fighter with
Yeah.
each thing that's going on. He'll be able to he'll break it down in a way that's like he's thinking about doing this there. This is why he did this. He's looking at him and he knows that this is how he's feeling and he took advantage of that. He'll almost go to a psychological place with his commentating. And
I
it's
love
great.
DC. I think DC does the same thing.
DC's great, yeah, because you know what it is.
Having
They're
the
both
mind of a fighter because you learn
having
so
the-
much more.
Having the mind of a champion.
Yeah.
A guy who's been a UFC champion.
Just think of how much we've learned from Diego. Like
Thank you
that
so
he
much,
wanted
guys.
to be out of here 20 minutes ago.
why-
We've learned so much.
It's
From
been, you know what? I like to give to my friends, and you two are acquaintances.
I do think though that if TJ wins, they'll probably try to do that Mighty Mouse fight before they give the nod to Jimmy.
Oh,
knowing
right.
Dana's going to want a super fight before he gives a shot to a guy who doesn't have that much. Of a
I wonder
following.
what's going to happen when Dana leaves.
Mighty Mouse for Cyborg.
Oh, they
It
just
all
open
goes
the
to hell.
floodgates.
Yeah.
Like whatever, whoever wants to fight, go in the cage.
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't think Dana White ever leaves.
He's
He
gonna-
dies just sitting ringside.
Well, that's leaving.
Yeah.
That's some type of leaving.
I'm just curious who's going to have that job. It's a very difficult job. I'm not going to say it's not, but
Yeah.
he's just been the face of UFC.
I heard
that
it was
way.
announced though that when he does go, every champion gets to wear a little bit of his ashes on their fight shorts.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, he's sponsoring people in death. Reebok and Dana White's ashes.
That's great. That's like when you get one of those cards that has like a piece of the mat. on
Yeah.
it. Yeah, same
The
thing.
ones that I
fighters
give away
angry.
to her. Wow, the giveaway did well this weekend.
Yeah, you're doing great. I appreciate
All the
giveaways.
fighters are going to angrily use his ashes to draw Nike swoosh logos on all their clothes.
I've missed the sponsorships, like when we could have sponsored a fighter.
Yeah,
not in the
man.
UFC.
That-
Probably not even a backyard
Jason
fighting.
MMA Middle East used to sponsor Jason High when he fought for
Yeah.
Hannibal sponsored a female fighter in Strikeforce back in
and
the
then he
day.
sponsored the whole card.
Oh, wow.
His face was on the mat on the last Invicta.
Yeah,
It was very funny. Yeah, it was very funny.
I saw you.
I posted
post
about
that
it.
picture.
Hannibal's a big fight fan. Friend of
Yeah.
the pod.
Friend of the pod.
Potential, which is potential friend of the pod, Hannibal Buress.
Yeah.
He's like a friend of the pod through other friends of the pod.
Yeah,
probably. We
exactly.
could connect him in a line to the podcast.
Mm-hmm.
And also friend of the pod, Chris Weidman, wishing him luck in his work. He's got surgery.
He's got surgery, right? His
Yeah.
thumb.
Yeah,
Wow.
I fully tweeted at him, get better soon, and he said, thanks. And then I tweeted back at him, I'm not letting this be an excuse to why you don't do my podcast.
Nice.
And that got a little traction. He didn't like it, but we're getting there. I think
Mm-hmm.
Weidman, I will say that I'm confident in the next year, Weidman will be a guest on this podcast.
I think so too. I mean,
We've
we
spent
recorded
too much time in his office. For it to not be
the Aljamain Sterling episode was recorded.
I got
in Chris
harassed by
Weidman's
his
office.
child.
Yeah, we were getting his kid was shit talking us in the office before we interviewed Aljamain.
His
When
kid took
he-
one look at me and said, "How do you know my dad?" that was his one question.
When
My
he-
dad doesn't know fat people.
Yeah, exactly. When he won the first Anderson Silva fight, I watched that in a pool in his neighborhood.
Really?
My friend lives in his neighborhood, and he invited us over to hang out and watch the fights
That's
in
so
the pool
crazy.
with a projector. And yeah, I expected when he won, people were gonna like go outside and honk their horns, like, "Yay, one of our guys!" Well, no one cared.
Didn't give a
No
fuck.
one cared that much.
Yeah,
but
no.
still, MMA is still low level.
It's so funny
I
how
hope my wife
fucking
makes you happy.
It's so crazy how big of an effect McGregor's had on MMA because even then, because it was before the huge meteoric rise of Conor, UFC was so much less popular than it is now.
Yeah.
Whereas now that might actually happen.
That might be a thing. Yeah.
I really think our podcast could just be called "We'll Eventually Talk About McGregor." I don't know if he's never not come up in an episode.
It's hard not to,
happens to
especially last
He's
week.
too prominent in the sport to not
Dude,
come
I think
up.
that happens with any MMA podcast or radio
You have
show or
to.
anything.
He's too.
There
much
actually
of a-
are no other MMA podcasts. Isn't
Yeah.
that crazy?
Yeah, this is the only one.
Yeah,
Look at
we
that.
actually just
Did you hear
murdered
that,
Ariel
Ariel?
Helwani.
Did you hear that, Ariel?
So, no, what you hear in the background is his pounding on the trunk of the car we're recording in.
Uh-huh.
This got dark, huh?
Goodfellas style. Yeah, a
Yeah,
little
friend
bit.
of the pod before that, though. I think I got a Sheba Mason show to go to, so
All right.
I got priorities.
Big
my
news,
friends.
dude.
What's the big
That's
news?
big news.
Oh yeah, it's big news. Yeah.
Sheba Mason show.
Yeah, Sheba Mason. Yeah, I'm doing the show.
Is that a place?
She could be a place.
Nice.
Enough people have taken residence.
Oh.
Wow, boy, do I wish
no
we had
respect.
boy, do I wish we had an editor.
We're gonna call this
Oh.
episode "Friend of the Podcast" Sheba Mason.
Well,
With that being said, I mean, listen, the listeners probably have no idea. She's the illegitimate child of Jackie Mason. And with that being said, she used to put me on bringer shows, not make me bring. She's a good person.
Oh, that's great.
She gets she had my favorite saying, which is, when I used to do her bringers when I was a skinny comic. And then I didn't see her again until I was definitely obese. And she looked at me and she was like, career's going well. I was like, yeah, not bad. She goes, you're fatter. I was like, yeah, I know. She's like, I'll still fuck you.
Oh,
And
nice.
like, I just love the blatant, just the right out there. I'm okay with saying this.
what a trooper.
Yeah,
it
quite
really
the
is.
compliment.
Friend of the
Bless
pod.
her heart.
Friend of the pod.
Bless your heart for listening. And why don't you throw us a 5-star review?
Oh yeah.
You're not
You wanna,
hurting anybody.
Let's not make. We got a few of the hashtags last time. We
did.
Again, it's about the same 4 people who send it, but we really love you guys.
Wildly different
Yeah.
people
So
every time.
if
One of the Twitter names is L Bro, and then a bunch of numbers. But that guy's a fucking awesome dude or
you so
woman.
much.
Melissa, she's a big fan of all of us.
Eric, my friend Eric, who's great.
so
Is he the
if-
one who left the review that said, "Great thing to listen to on the way home to my shitty wife"?
Maybe he's not married, but he might
Someone
say
left
that.
a review like that.
if you guys have made it to this point of the podcast, please hashtag friend of the pod.
Yeah,
and
you gotta
tweet
hashtag friend of the pod
friend
on
of the
this
pod.
one.
Tweet it at FightFistPod,
you
at
screaming?
Luke Tuma, at Dan Lamort, at
This Diego Lopez. There's so
And,
many Diego Lopez's.
Or
We
if you
gotta-
want to just tweet at Austin locked up. Fuck you. No, I'm kidding. Friend of the
We got
pod.
to.
Austin.
We're gonna shout out the people that reviewed us. Let's
yeah,
do that.
a lot of friends of Hours.
These are all strangers. Come on, stop
Yeah.
making us look bad. God damn it, Dan.
JJJ696969 said, "God damn it, I love this. So funny and love to hear people who know what they're talking about on this. MMA and comedy so great. Thank you, JJJ696969."
Hell yeah.
Joe Can't Stop 98 said, "So fun. I laughed and got a little hard. Looking forward to more." Thank you. We're flaccid by default. Well, we can't get hard, but thank you, Joe Can't Stop. My favorite, Kate, who said, "I love it forever. This makes my drive home to my awful husband better." Thanks, fellas. I'm guessing her husband is Joe Can't Stop, who can't really get hard. Joe Can't Stop being flaccid, and Kate's his wife. And then our last one is Fan of Fists. Ranimal Fanimal said, "This pod is flipping great." Thank you guys for
My
reviewing.
favorite was, before we go, a guy named Ron F. He's a follow of mine on. I told him to review the pod. He didn't. He reviewed me.
Okay.
But it's a fun thing where he left a 5-star review for me on a random Denny's Yelp page.
Oh, that's cool.
And a few other people did it. That's hysterical.
That's very funny.
If you don't want to review
Doesn't
a
help
pod
us
on
at
iTunes,
all.
start reviewing Fight Fizz pods on random Denny's. I mean, he said Dan Lamort is an American sage, not unlike the plant which seasons your breakfast sausages.
Nah, that's beautiful.
Yeah, and also in his Yelp review, he said, "I will not give Apple any traffic, and the ghost of Steve Jobs can kiss my dick." So that's my fan base, folks.
That's pretty good.
Thanks,
That's
Ron
kind
F,
of like
and
advertising for us.
Sorry for that random Denny's in St. Louis, but it might get us some listens. If you came here from the Denny's Yelp page, welcome to the Fight Fist podcast.
Big shout out,
Hey.
and a lumberjack slam is coming your way.
Hashtag friend of the pod. Thank you guys for listening. Thank
At
you for
Fight Fist Pod on
Yeah,
Twitter
at
and hashtag friend of the pod.
Dude, Dan does giveaways, which have been very popular.
Yeah, the
Thank
rose
you for
giveaway
doing
was
that, man.
You guys
popular.
are screaming.
Don't worry, we have a professional audio guy now.
Yeah, exactly.
Now that friend of the pod Austin is gone, we could fix the levels.
The whole point of having a good audio, guys, so that we could adjust our levels as we
Oh
please.
God, you're making a nightmare. Have a good night or a good morning.
We really are
love
so
you.
bad at ending this.
Goodbye. Wu Tang is for the children.
Friend of the pod.